Okay, Jeremiah 43. Remember, they're changing my voice. Had some phone problems. The new phone I got in the mail for several $100s, like $400 or something, it came defective. Again, racist, persecuted me, and all their families in the afterlife, I'm sure, are very disheartened, to say the least, at their decision. And these things have take on biblical proportions, that they spend their one life just sniveling and trying to find their life and trying to survive and trying to indulge in happy meals and going to Disneyland, and their life is the main thing that they've done is to interfere with my videos, and that is no way to live your life. That's no heritage to pass on to your offspring. Even a little kid can tell you that was very stupid. I don't respect you people for doing that at all. They're very, very stupid. Jeremiah 43. When Jeremiah had finished telling the people all the words of the Lord their God, everything the Lord had sent him to tell them, Azariah son of Hoshea and Johanan son of Kareah and all the arrogant men said to Jeremiah, "You are lying. The Lord your God has not sent you to say you must not go to Egypt to settle there. But Baruch son of Neriah is inciting you against us to hand us over to the Babylonians so they may kill us or carry us into exile into Babylon." So Johanan son of Kareah and all the army officers and all the people disobeyed the Lord's command to stay in the land of Judah. Instead, Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the army officers led away all the remnant of Judah who had come back to live in the land of Judah from all the nations where they had been scattered. They also led away all those who Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard, had left with Gedaliah, son of Achim, the son of Shaphan, the men, the women, and the children, and the king's daughter. And they took Jeremiah the prophet and Baruch, son of Neriah, along with them. So they entered Egypt in disobedience to the Lord and went as far as Taphanes. Okay, so I just got a message, through the way they communicate with me here, various forms of communication, not just the phone, that they basically said they disrespected God and called God names in the old, the FU argument, okay? Now, you can imagine when you're the top martial arts, you see betas who refuse to man up, who feed their offspring souls to the devil. You can imagine you don't respect that at all. You can imagine that they didn't use logic, rational thought, reasoning, and wisdom and understanding, just like these people who didn't believe Jeremiah. Okay? They're shivering under a blanket in a corner with a military outfit on, police, intelligence agency, whatever martial arts schools they go to, whatever family crest they have. They're shivering, completely scared to man up. And you can imagine I don't respect that at all. And you can imagine that comes with severe consequences spiritually for them and their families. And you can imagine them trying to act bad and saying, well, what are you going to do? It's fucking stupid, because I'm saying this on behalf of God, and it's exactly what God is saying, and you all know it damn well. And obviously God elevated me above them. And just like things evolve, right? Humans evolved differently than other animals, Okay, the top martial arts evolved to be a man. They didn't evolve to be that. So you can imagine where God's going with this, and they're very stupid to talk shit to me. Okay, just pathetic. Okay. In Taphanes, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah while the Jews are watching. Take some large stones with you and bury them in clay and break pavement at the entrance of Pharaoh's palace at Taphanes. Then say to them, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. I will send for my servant Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. I will set his throne over these stones I have buried here. He will spread his royal canopy over them. He will come and attack Egypt, bringing death to those destined for death, captivity to those destined for captivity, and the sword to those destined for the sword. He will set fire to the temples of the gods of Egypt. He will burn their temples and take their gods captive. As a shepherd picks his garment clean of lice, so he will pick Egypt clean and depart. There in the temple of the sun in Egypt, he will demolish the sacred pillars and will bring down the temples of the gods of Egypt. Now, keep in mind that they're not talking about Horus from the first dynasty. First of all, why? Because the scribes didn't know Horus from the first dynasty. They knew that there was people who were claiming that their God was the main God or the one true God, and the other ones are just the spirits of kings, which is what the Bible says in Psalm 82, right? Sons of God versus the one true God. Okay, the great assembly, what have you. And obviously the Jews were in Egypt worshiping God in the story. So one of the so-called gods of Egypt is the God of Israel there. Okay, so the god of a certain subgroup of Igbos, if you will, or this group that overlaps with the Igbos, that my Royal African Falcon line, okay, is a foreign god that migrated to Egypt, right? And it goes through, as the Egyptian history records it, through Aswan in southern Egypt by Nubia. Okay, so you can't say, well, they're talking about gods that are indigenous to Egypt. Horus is the god who comes from afar. He who comes from afar. He's not a god of Egypt in terms of in the flesh or in the indigenous area. It's a god that comes to Egypt, just like the God of the Israelites in the Bible.